panel.
Thanks, Lisa. Well, we have done so much preparing. I feel like we're going to have to try to talk really fast to get through everything we've talked about in our prep speech. But to start with, we've got your titles, your names and titles up on the screen, but why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about who you are, your companies, and who your clients are.
Yeah, so Dave DeCairano at Havas Media, focusing primarily in the paid search world, focusing my efforts the last 4 years in pharmaceuticals. It's been fun. I find it very exciting. It's very fast-paced, very competitive environment. So yeah, it's been quite a ride thus far.
I'm Jason Schell, Associate Media Director at Harmelin. We have clients across multiple verticals, but mainly healthcare, CPG. So really, focusing on those, those efficiencies and driving, performance in those really competitive spaces.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Tan. I'm with First Republic Bank. I lead our paid, owned, and earned media teams, and it's really great to be here at SIS. I was just reminiscing with John about how I've been coming here for many, many years, and it's great to see veterans like Todd back there, where we were on a panel together 10 years ago, and it's really great to be here.
You guys are based on the West Coast, right?
We have markets across, but I am based in the West Coast.
Cool. Well, we're going to start with some sort of overview, big picture type, questions, and then drill down a little bit. So, to start with, things have changed a lot in the last 5 years. Even before the pandemic, things were starting to shift. So if you could talk just a minute or two about how your business is now versus how it was 5 years ago. Jason, you want to start?
Yeah, so I think this has been said a lot through the last couple of days, but with COVID, the last 5 years, everything has really shifted to digital. At Harmelin, we were primarily traditional media, and that's where the company started. But over the last 4 or 5 years, our digital billings, as everybody has seen, has skyrocketed. And the last 3 years, our digital billings have outpaced our traditional billings, which is absolutely fantastic. And it's just continuing to grow, that digital side and continuing to get smarter as we see more people going online and searching more, and just I think that's where we see everything heading, and I think everybody sees that here is just a digital first approach, and then supplementing with that former traditional kind of media.
I can echo that. I confirm that as on the brand side. I started December 2019, and then the pandemic hit. And when I first started, we did a media mix model analysis and saw that we're over-indexed in traditional, and that I would have to start looking at ways to move to digital a little bit. And I being in banking, I knew that was going to be kind of a slow process. However, because of the pandemic, it really forced us to go into digital a little bit faster, with channels like out of home and print becoming less effective as people aren't going to the dentist and reading magazines or driving and seeing billboards and stuff. So yeah, same story on our side.
Yeah, same. It's an obvious area to play in paid search. So you have that intent. Users are raising their hand, but just trying to maximize things as much as possible, and just trying to find those new streams of inventory to continue to expand, because upper funnel is just as important, I feel, in paid search as lower funnel. Having that top to bottom approach, and in the pharma world where we're kind of maxed out, like we're playing pretty aggressively, because you have to be in the pharma space. We're always looking for ways to expand. Everybody wants their hands in the pot. Everybody wants, where's that next dollar going?
Yeah, I think just to kind of bounce off of that, being, pharmaceutical, I've worked at a previous agency that was pure pharma, and there's a lot of money in there to support a lot of full funnel. And what we were, as everybody came back on, was shifting away from traditional going into digital. Our clients are, we're not working with the larger budgets that we are in pharma, so still trying to support that full funnel approach, but being very smart about it and having to be very strategic with less money, more people searching, more competition in the marketplace. So it's certainly been a challenge, but I think the way that we're just approaching it and just trying to be smart and leveraging that automation, and has really paid off for us.
One more thing to add is that it wasn't, during the pandemic, it wasn't just about prospecting, it was also about moving our clients or showing the awareness of our mobile banking capabilities to our clients. And the ones that skew older, we wanted to make sure that we had them download our app and kind of leverage those capabilities. And so we found ways to find them on digital, market to them, and get the call to action was to download the app.
And that was actually my next question, which we kind of covered in the prep call, was that how the pandemic has helped older consumers to shift more into the digital space out of necessity. I mean, there's no way they can do what they used to do, going to the store. I mean, everything has to be done online.
Yeah, now your
so.
mom knows how to use a QR code, right?
Yeah, that's kind of cool, right? Grandma's up there with her phone, doing the QR code thing, so. And menus, everything's QR code.
Yeah, that was, I think we've all seen that shift of, not that we were, forgetting or not targeting or marketing to that older demographic, specifically in search and digital, but, COVID completely changed that. And now that older demographic of that, 50 to 65 plus, is a demographic that, we're targeting more, we're looking at more, because they're not going away, they're not going to revert back to their old habits. They're going to continue to keep that online behavior, and that's something that we really have been trying to focus on, as well as how to reach that older demographic, just through messaging and talking to them specifically. But that's something that we've really had to look at, with COVID, is just focusing on those older demographics that aren't going to go away.
And those behaviors, I really enjoyed the Catalyst report yesterday. I think we saw that some of those behaviors may stay, so that's promising.
So we're going to have to stay digital for the new digitally savvy consumers.
And mobile.
And mobile for sure. So, of course, we have to talk about cookies, or the lack thereof. And I thought it was really interesting, Jason, you were talking about how your agency actually convened a cookieless task force to try to figure out how we're going to deal with this. So if you could talk a little bit about what you guys learned. And
Yeah, so at Harmelin, being almost a full agency with traditional and digital, and with our planners, with search, social, programmatic, and everything, this cookieless, affects all of us. We need to make sure that we're, all buttoned up. Our planners are talking to clients about ramifications and everything. But, specifically with search, I think what we're trying to determine, and what this cookieless task force is trying to move forward with, is, just developing best practices for our agency, in terms of, tracking and monitoring performance, making sure we're capturing all of those conversions as well. Starting to gather that first-party data so we can, begin to target them as well. And then, we know that it's going to get far more competitive. It's already starting to get more competitive, and, where we can lean more into those mid to upper funnel searches, as opposed to those really competitive lower funnel converting keywords, and just, nurturing the searcher throughout their whole journey, and not just targeting them at the end. We just have to get smarter, more efficient, because of all the competition that we're seeing, and just making sure that those efforts are paying off on the back end, and we're tracking everything correctly with this loss of cookieless, or the cookieless deprecation.
David, did you want to add to that?
Yeah, I totally agree with the upper funnel, and just getting, users to them earlier in their journey, and then building your own audiences from there, is definitely the direction we're headed.
So social is still a big part of it, and I know Jennifer and I were talking about TikTok and Snapchat, and how do banks do TikTok and Snapchat, and I actually was wondering about Twitch, because I saw that the Bank of Montreal has their own Twitch channel now, which I'm just like, okay, Twitch is it now, I guess. So what have you guys been, I know you're studying it, you're still kind of in the process.
Yeah, I really enjoyed Imran's presentation yesterday about diversifying your social channel a little bit more, because we are more, highly over-indexed in Facebook and LinkedIn and some of the proven channels. recently, through social listening tools, we found like a TikToker who is a client, who's young and cool and has all these followers, and she's raving about our bank. And I was consulting Imran, like, how do I approach her? Like, what do I do to get into that space? So I think, and I also am learning that maybe there's some beliefs that TikTok is very, very young, Gen Z, but not really the case. And so big opportunity there to bring in the next gen client base.
There are a lot of moms on TikTok.
Yeah, I love
Bored
TikTok
moms.
myself.
Anything you guys want to add about TikTok or Snapchat?
Being search only, I've got no insight into TikTok except seeing.
Are you on TikTok?
I am on TikTok, and the other day somebody was talking about the older people on TikTok that are born in the 90s and that 80s and 90s. That makes you feel incredibly old being born in the late 70s.
The only thing I know about it has been forced upon me through Instagram.
Well, it's not like the old channels are going away, so they're still going to be big for older folks and Facebook, faithful types. So, let's talk a little bit about automation and machine learning and AI. Jason, I know this is something you're enthusiastic about.
Yeah, so, there was a lot of great presentations earlier. I know with the, I forget the exact company, but yesterday with the Google Shopping and Performance Max, we all know that, Google's turning a lot of this stuff in, it's becoming very black box and more, we have to trust Google more with their processes, but we also have to be able to leverage those processes and not fully trust them and be able to kind of work them a little bit more. And we're leveraging that with specifically in SA360 with one of our larger clients. They're a dental almost like urgent care. They've got 900 plus locations, close to 1,000, and we like to take a very local approach to that. And we have, a couple years ago, we were optimizing towards target CPA. We've shifted. We were a first mover in the healthcare space of shifting from target CPA to target ROAS with there. But the real issue that you run into, and Matt and I were talking about this earlier, ATI is very similar to our client, and it's how can we leverage that machine learning that Google is. It's such a powerful tool, but still adapt it to our clients. And with this client, we're very local first. We've got all of our campaigns are local to each location. So we've got probably around 5,000 campaigns between branded, non-branded, and driving performance and target either CPA and now target ROAS to really gain that system. What we were able to do is, look at it like kind of a cluster approach or a cluster strategy across 900 of these locations and finding locations that have like CPA and like targets so that the bidder can fully optimize to those ROAS targets, and their other locations don't get shortchanged in terms of search spend and budget because they're at a lower ROAS. So, the way that we did that is, within 20% or 10% of each, we had 9 or 10 clusters, and what it really allowed the bid strategy to do was focus on that specific ROAS target without higher performing locations cannibalizing spend and the bid strategy pulling away from that. So I think, with that machine learning and the AI and the automation and the bid strategies is, making sure that you're being very deliberate with it and have a strategy going into where, the bid strategies aren't going to pull spend or performance away from locations or campaigns that could be underperforming against that target goal.
Yeah, you said it. We rely heavily on automation, as everyone else likely does too. That's where everything's headed. But there is still that manual aspect to it. It's automated, but you have to point it in the right direction, right? So I think what's important to note on that is identifying your back-end goal and what you're actually automating towards, first and foremost. So,
we've really been, within search, we're all focused on, conversions and click-through rates and those front-end metrics, some of those conversions, back-end metrics. But what we've really been trying to do is measure and ladder back those in-channel metrics to, business results, back-end business results for the client. And I think that's really important of making that, tying those two together of, search performance can be great, and what we're seeing in platform and what our bid strategies are doing could be great, but how is that affecting the business on the back end? Is that truly driving revenue for them? And, and listening to the client as well, so we can make changes so we're truly impacting their business and just not focusing on, our engine performance.
I know, David, during our prep talk, you talked a lot about responsive search ads and increasing relevance. Can you talk a little bit about your experiences with that?
So responsive search ads, that's just, the way Google's pointing us. It's a way to, I think, speak to each individual and be very specific to the keyword search itself. And I think, although this, was pretty much mandatory by Google, but it's the way you want to go, and it just helps you, again, be personable. I think user experience is more important than ever, and just making sure you're providing the right content to the user, because their expectations are higher more than ever, for sure. I think, what their level of standards for what we're serving up, and, their user experiences are, higher.
And establishing trust is really key.
Yeah, and that's, with those responsive search ads, we've been trying to, at Harmelin, develop some best practices for our internal teams around, ad relevancy. We've seen when we put RSAs in the market, they're maybe not as relevant or a lower quality score around than compared to our ETAs. And it's just how do we increase that relevancy? We've been looking at dynamic keyword insertion in that first headline, just to make it more relevant to the, to making the ad more relevant to the searcher's search term. We've seen that work well with higher click-through rates. And again, exactly what David said, is just being able to, really create ads that speak to that user in that moment, and very, personalized messaging, as opposed to, those evergreen ETA ads that we were running a lot. I think it's just going to make us think a little bit more, and we just have to get, smarter with how we're serving the ads, and making sure that, those 15 headlines do ladder back and do increase your ad relevancy, and are speaking to the consumer.
Are you guys pulling the relevancy from the keyword to the ad? Get it, but what about to the landing page? Are you using tools to dynamically bring that same copy into the landing page for?
Not necessarily dynamically, but we do work closely with all SEO teams, because they have kind of the first-hand look into the Google's algorithm and what Google decides to be the best user experience. So we always try and make sure that, we're kind of matching them on that.
Yeah, it's the same thing. We work very closely with our SEO teams. We're trying to, everybody, search and SEO are so closely related, and we really want to, make sure we're taking those SEO, those SEO learnings and developing our ad copy through those, just again for higher ad relevancy, and so Google is rewarding us with a lower click-through rate, as opposed to, or lower CPC, as opposed to paying more for less relevancy.
But your SEO pages and your landing pages are different, right? So for landing page relevancy, are you using Test and Target or Optimizely to optimize those pages to make them more relevant to the keyword query?
The auto optimizer for that, yeah.
So, Jennifer, I know we talked more about big picture macro type issues, and I was asking you about all these upstart banks and how, they're coming up in whenever I'm searching for bank, I get 100, brands I've never heard of before, maybe not 100, but a dozen anyway. So how are you guys combating that, since they're coming up in searches, so much?
I think there's a lot of financial institutions that have offers and promotions and really lead with the rate that are probably a little bit more direct response. In our case, really our biggest value proposition is our white glove service, and that's the foundation and deep roots of everything we do. So So keeping that messaging and that positioning strategy is something that we will continue to do. But I also think that positioning ourselves in digital as thought leaders is really important too. So one of the areas in which we're doing that is really paying attention closely to search queries that are more informational and less transactional that are coming through, and then building our content strategy around that, so that we're answering these questions that people are asking versus using our own beliefs on what we think our content should say, and then optimizing those articles for SEO so that we're on page 1 of the SERPs when people do search on those.
So they're not searching for under versus over with toilet paper. What are they searching for with banks?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of topics like about IRAs and a lot of different financial topics where we're finding that there's like white space, that nobody's really answering these questions. And, I think in financial services, sometimes, it can be transactional in your advertising. And I find that there's a big opportunity to answer those questions, and so that when prospects are thinking about changing banks, they're like, oh my gosh, that bank really helped me when I had all these questions and didn't know what to do. So
you're establishing loyalty and trust even before they're with
that's
customer.
right, exactly.
Yeah, I was going to say, I can echo that. I think our main strategy as of late has been customer support related. And again, expectations are higher than ever, so it's making sure you're providing that best user experience. So huge emphasis on just content itself.
Yeah, and that's why, we really want to support, a full funnel approach, is that we're nurturing these searchers throughout the lifespan of their journey with whatever their end goal is, being there in the moment from answering those high funnel questions, and then, them seeing us throughout their whole search journey, eventually, resulting in that end goal of a conversion for us.
Well, I think we're going to try to wrap it up so that we can take some audience questions. Any final thoughts on the state of the industry or best practices or what you've learned from the conference so far?
Best practices are always changing, so keeping up with the times is also a big one.
Yeah, I just think, automation, machine learning, and bid strategies, and really leveraging those and finding out how to tweak them and dial those in to drive performance is going to be, what we're going to be doing in the search space for the considerable future, I think.
For me, to answer one of those questions, I'm really enjoying the content that's being shared and really leaning into the conversations around the cookieless future and trying to learn as much as possible from subject matter experts here.
I discovered a new word, future-proof, which from our sponsors, and I just love that. It's like future-proof. That's actually very relevant to what we're talking about. So, well, thank you guys. I really appreciate it. And we are having a roundtable discussion, which Jennifer will be leading. So anybody, who's interested in talking more about this, and I think you guys are going to attend it as well, we can continue the conversation in the roundtable. But if we've got any questions from the audience.
Any questions out here? Well, I wanted to, Jason, you had sort of mentioned, and I think all of you alluded to it in the sense of, bringing everyone through the funnel, and it's not just about the hard KPIs, but the soft ones as well. But when it comes to actual performance, is it still what we were talking about yesterday, still a matter of that return on spend? Or are people still, okay, let's get that brand awareness out? Is that sometimes okay that a campaign specifically just does that? Or does it always have to drive conversions or somewhere down, bring it down the funnel right away?
Yeah, I think ideally, everything relies on conversions, return on ad spend, but, that's a really, it's just having conversations with your clients and having them understand that the full funnel approach and being there at every part of the funnel is just only going to benefit their business, even if that takes us, if we're bidding on higher funnel terms and, return on ad spend is 200% instead of 300%, if we're driving more appointments or more volume within those conversions, it behooves us to be at every point of that funnel just to get that brand recognition, and just, again, like fostering that, the people through the funnel. And it just is more of a brand awareness play. Even if we do lose some efficiency, we're still able to get that brand out there and ultimately result in the conversion.
Jason, are your KPIs for your clients different for upper funnel activity? Like, is it more like engagement, bounce rates, that kind of lowering bounce rates, things like that, or are they net the same?
Yeah, that's what we're looking at in terms of like time on site, click-through rates on those higher funnel terms is how many people, and then we're following them through their journey as well. So you do have to look at those differently. We can't look at a high funnel non-brand term in terms of ROAS. It's not going to help us at all. So we have to look at those engagement metrics and then following them through the funnel.
Well, I know for Jen, I mean, we've talked, and basically, obviously you had a huge transformation with your bank and really bringing customers in and really about the white glove service kind of thing. So obviously, I would think yours KPIs would be very much upper funnel. I mean, obviously, you want to get that traffic, you want to get people in, but initially, that must be a major part of what you're doing, at least right now, especially.
Yeah, that's right. And we also do a lot of brand awareness lift studies. So we use Dynata to measure what the brand awareness impact was based on our advertising. And then there is more lower funnel KPIs too, like cost per lead and things like that. But I think if I've been at places where that's all we focus on, and it's like race to the bottom, and then we forget to do the upper funnel. And a lot of those upper funnel channels and brand awareness campaigns, like the spend gets reduced there because we're not looking at the holistic picture. And so I think it's been great here at the bank because we do put a lot of value in the brand awareness piece.
And Dave, as like Jason, you're with an agency and having to sort of explain it to your clients, talk about what you need to do. Is it similar?
Setting expectations for sure, and just, it's a longer lead time for some of that upper funnel traffic. But it's a test and learn approach always. You never really know with search sometimes where the intent lies. Sometimes a searcher doesn't know what they're looking for. But yeah, we allow that upper funnel stuff to operate at a less efficient type KPI, but being full funnel and knowing that you're still getting that incremental awareness to it. So it's more than just end conversion.
Great. We have a question. Hold on. I don't think Tim would like that. It might miss.
Question for you, Jason. You mentioned a couple of times machine learning and AI.
Can't you speak up a little bit?
Machine learning and AI, you mentioned a couple of times. So broadly speaking, where does AI meet human intelligence? I guess, when you're trying to apply both, where do you make room for one to overtake the other, essentially?
Yeah, I think it's, what David said was a good point, is pointing it in the right direction with those bid strategies, is taking historical data to set your, return on ad spend or your CPA targets, and then looking at, your campaigns to determine, we know different campaign types have different goals. So segmenting those campaign types up, setting them correctly based on historical data, and then allowing the bidder and the automation to really take that to the next level, and then continual tweaks as you're going through that. So it's really not, we all know it's really not a set it and forget it, but I think it's just leveraging the historical data, setting things up correctly, and then making tweaks as a test and learn. We're always test and learning. We really try to have a test and learn culture in our department, and that's automation and AI go hand in hand with that, is just continually testing and continually learning and making those tweaks and dialing things in.
Okay, great. Well, you guys, thank you so much. It was awesome. David, Jason, Jennifer, and Tanya, of course.